Into the papers, see what the headlines are this morning. And have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist, Dr. John, as well as political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Gentlemen, thank God it's Monday.
Good morning. Good morning.
Thank God it's Monday. Imagine somebody in the church giving testimony that, thank God I arrived safely from China.
That's the end of service for that day.
And everyone will jump out through the window. It's okay. Let's see what the headlines are. We start with the leadership newspaper this morning. And it says it's focusing on Imo Zamfara review. Fear of fine grips PDP, APC as Supreme Court rules today. And the opposition party denies withdrawing case. And APC keeps mum. And truth about Bayelsa verdict will be revealed soon. Olanik Bekun is quoted as saying this. All right, from there, let's go to the Business AM. It said, crisis? What crisis? Nigeria revenue pressure blows up. Okay, and ECA reserves monthly allocations dip. Okay, those are all you see on the front page of the Business AM. Daily Trust is where we go next, and it simply says bandits kill 51 in Kaduna. Really troubling, very, very troubling there. The headline on the front page of the Daily Trust. From there, let's go to Daily Times. Daily Times is focusing on insecurity, and it said Catholic bishops warn federal government on dangers ahead. Advises federal government to seek help from international community. It urged Buhari to refrain from sectional religious bias in filling top security positions. Okay, you see all that on the front page of the Daily Times and the borders on security. From there, News Direct is where we go next, and it says 2.2 or 2.27% GDP growth. Nigeria's economy is sluggish, weak to create employment opportunities. LCCI is saying this, Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. All right, from there, let's go to the blueprint. As Supreme Court rules on Zamfara, Imo, Olanik Bekun says, I'll open up on Bayelsa. Confusion rocks APC and PDP. Zamfara, an effort in futility. APC chieftain is saying this. We won't back down on Imo. Opposition party insists. Okay. From there, let's go now to the Nation newspaper, which is the last one now, and it focuses on coronavirus. More than 100 Nigerians met with Italian. And Buhari is saying, don't panic. 43 quarantined in Plateau State. A baby dog gets virus as new cases rise. Sanwo-Olu to meet governors and council chiefs to brief them on updates generally. Okay, gentlemen, I guess this is where I'd like us to start from. Coronavirus, that's one of the biggest topics across the world right now. And about 43 persons, including Nigerians and some Chinese, have been isolated or quarantined in Plateau State. The government there to announce to the world on that. And then the tracing of contact tracing for those who came in contact with the Italian, the index cases Nigeria is also on. All right, now, the president has said no panic. And people have been talking about going to buy chloroquine or going to buy garlic and all of that. Doctor, let me start with you on this. A lot of people claiming so many things are cures or prevents coronavirus at this time.
Good morning, Mike. And I sincerely think that, and I so believe that any problem in Nigeria that does not have ethnic coloration, that does not come with the issue of class, no religious sentiment, such problem cannot survive in Nigeria. It doesn't matter whether it's coronavirus. More so that now you are not going to travel to the abroad for any cure. If anything happens, we are all going to be here. So all hands will be on deck to get this thing solved. So I totally believe that we are going to solve it. We have the capacity. That does not mean that we were not sluggish in our preparation. The only thing we did at a point was to come, you see government officials come on television to say we are prepared. But in actual fact, I doubted whether we were. Because if we were, a senator traveled to South Africa and actually recanted what happened. Within inside the plane. There were a lot of tests that were conducted to ensure that.
When he compared it to Nigeria, he said no.
So where would you allow somebody like that to actually get out of the country and go to where he was going before we started raising alarm? So I think we were a little bit sluggish, but because life, if you want your nation to develop, you don't only tell truth to power, you also talk senses into the head of people out of power. I think there's the need for also our Nigerian people to take responsibility. You just talked about hand sanitizer, for example, the other time. 1,000 naira, suddenly we are selling it for 20,000, taking advantage of every situation. And that's what we criticize government for. One of the reasons why we're talking about insecurity in Nigeria today is because people outside of government think that people in government are taking advantage of the situation. Right. But that's exactly what we are having even with this problem now. Okay. So it's not just about government. We must also take responsibility, but I know Corona will die. Yeah, I'm certain. Yeah.
Dr. Kayode, a lot of people have said, well, the fatality case or fatality rate for coronavirus is just about 2%. That is why you have the infection rate is almost at 90,000, but those who have died are still within the 3,000 range. So if you check the gap, you see that most people who contacted are certainly going to survive. So Nigerians will survive. Yeah,
you see, definitely, like he said, any problem that you have in Nigeria that doesn't have differential colorations can't survive. Look at the issue of Ebola. Even, you know, there was a time we had the problem of SARS from this same China. I think 2000 and early 2000, you know. Still, it didn't survive. And people, even at that time, people were covering faces too and all that. So I believe it cannot survive beyond a reasonable period of time. But most importantly, I want us to quickly check ourselves. Nigeria has always opened itself to a high level of vulnerability, especially when it concerns issues like this.
How do you mean open itself to vulnerability?
One, we've heard that this thing is happening. Our level of preparedness was zero. We were never prepared for it. I'll give you an instance.
But
I will give you an instance.
Okay.
Look at those facilities prepared for the Ebola people at that time. Those facilities, at the end of the day, became so moribund. All right? The same facility, they are now quickly going to renovate.
But they finished renovating.
For now, what I'm saying is level of preparedness is zero.
Okay.
Then even when you now look at even rate of response too, it is zero. All right? In terms of, since these few days now, I've never had NEMA coming up the way it's supposed to. All right? I've never heard of Port Health talking that yes, we are upgrading our facilities, we are ready to curtail it at the airport and all that.
But Dr. Kayode, the point there is a concerted effort, and if you see the pyramid of response and enlightenment and all of that, you will discover that not all agencies are going to be out there talking. There are some who are working, then there are those who are talking, and so on.
No, listen, when you're talking of response,
the NCDC,
there are some that were created purposefully for response. Okay? So those people are supposed to lead. You know, when you're talking about emergency response, there are some parastatals that are created especially for that. That is to say, they are professionals. They are supposed to lead. They will be the leading figure telling you, look, this is the way it's supposed to be, this is the way it's supposed to be.
But isn't that what is happening right now? That's why we're able to handle this issue.
Are we being able to handle it?
One of the reasons why people will continue to doubt their government, it's not just limited to this issue. It's when your government is saying A on television, and in reality what we have on the ground is B. For response, we are good at responding to issues. But when you paint an impression that, oh, this is what you have done, and in reality, you haven't done that. You see, the government had come on television to say that all is said before people started busting their lies, that no, you are just renovating some of this facility. That does not mean that they are not doing anything. But when you compare, you see, there are two types of leaders, really. We have the dormant and the active leader. Under active leadership, we have the reactive kind of leaders. When we have heard about this thing now for how many weeks, we shouldn't wait till it gets to Nigeria before we start fixing air conditioner. You know why they didn't do all those things? It's because they never knew, or perhaps if it were an average Nigerian that fell victim, they would have kept the person inside that room without AC. That is the concept of human value that we are talking about. But now, when the guy said, no, I am not used to this environment, I will bolt, and you know that if the guy gets to Oshodi, he's trouble. That's why they started fixing all those things.
Yeah,
so
but,
we need to,
but,
we
but
need to step up.
The threat,
we need to step
the
up
reports
really.
on the threat of him running away was just it was just rumor.
You don't say rumor.
No, you know, as much as he was dissatisfied, because from the reports we got, he didn't threaten to run away.
But
are we not supposed to have prepared facilities for those people that are likely, instead of us waiting till we now have somebody, we decide to be making arrangements.
All right, but the point there is everything is under containment right now, and like we heard from the government of Plateau State that those persons have been quarantined or isolated, at least for monitoring sake. I guess that is a proactive measure too.
Yeah,
it's good for you to guess.
And it's also good for us. It's also good, Mike, for us to use this opportunity to tell Nigerians not to panic. Because nothing kills faster than fear and panic.
Exactly,
you understand? The government is on top of the situation, and I think every one of us, and we should not go and be eating 10 pieces of garlic because we want to, or you go and use salt water to beat.
Garlic is not the cure for coronavirus. Chloroquine is not the cure for coronavirus.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah.
You know.
Now the point there is they have told us as well that the fatality rate is just about 2%, and those who are more susceptible to falling or succumbing to the virus are people who are a little aged, and then those who have underlying illnesses and all of that.
And you know that healthy, we are blessed with the population that is actually youthful based.
Very active.
Yeah, very active population.
Very active.
So there's even no possibility. I'm even sure that this thing will not survive here.
Even somebody said before the 27th of March, we weren't going to hear anything.
Hope that is not spiritual or religious.
I said somebody said, I'm not talking about spirituality.
Actually, in China, experts in China have said that by May, all things being equal, that there's concerted effort by May, coronavirus should be over. That's a quote from experts in China. We should also use to send signals to those warmongers that they should stop all this kind of biological warfare activities like this. Because you remember I said, when this thing started all the time, I said somebody somewhere might be aiming to fight China with one thing or the other. Could you believe that a week after, somebody sent me some materials showing me that as far back as 1982, they have been talking about this coronavirus. So are you saying that the coronavirus is a makeup of is a deliberate thing? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, so some people were prepared. But there's no evidence to that. I have not read about it. Some people prepared, some people were preparing some chemical or whatever. And then unfortunately, as much as we've read that book, as much as we've seen the material you're talking about and all of that, but the point there is World Health Organization and all the authorities concerned have said this is a natural illness. There is no proof anywhere that it was fabricated or made in any lab anywhere. So let's keep it that way. The most important thing is there are vaccines going on right now, and in fact, a Nigerian in Imo State, I think a professor, or I think a veterinary professor also has claimed that he has something that could likely, cure that, cure what is it called? Coronavirus. Yeah. So it is being tested. Israel has also come up with something that will be tested maybe on humans in the next few weeks. So let's wait to see that the positive side of things. Thank you very much, Dr. Kayode, for coming on the program.
It's time to take a look at stories making the headlines in Nigerian newspapers. I have with me in the studio leadership and communication strategist Dr. John and political technocrat, Dr. Dayo Kayode. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Can I sneeze?
No, you can't sneeze, not here. As much as we understand that there is coronavirus in Lagos, we have to take preventive measures. So if you want to sneeze, you can sneeze in between your elbow. That's the only way.
But do you know that we shouldn't just get scared unnecessarily when you see somebody
Absolutely.
sneezing because of our atmospheric conditions here?
With the weather
you have
now.
a lot of jaws, the kind of
Agreed,
weather
but
we
when you
have
are doing that,
and all that.
you are
Should
saying
also-
that you sneeze between your elbow.
Definitely,
That's not
yes.
too
But we are
difficult to do,
now
yeah.
saying people should not just be scared of everybody that are sneezing. You
Definitely. We shouldn't start stigmatizing them now.
Exactly.
All right, let's head straight to the papers now. And we'll begin with the Leadership newspaper. Imo Zamfara review, fear of fine grips PDP APC as Supreme Court rules today. Opposition party denies withdrawing case. The APC keeps mum. Truth about Bayelsa verdicts will be revealed soon. Olani Klekun. And then we move to the Business AM. Crisis. What crisis? Nigeria revenue pressure blows up. ECA reserves monthly allocations dip. And to the front page of the Daily Trust, bandits kill 51 in Kaduna. To the front page of the Daily Times, Insecurity Catholic bishops warn federal government on dangers ahead. Advises federal government to seek help from international community. Urge Buhari to refrain from sectional or religious bias in filling top security positions. And to the front page of the Nigerian News Direct, 2.27% GDP growth. Nigeria's economy sluggish, weak to create employment opportunities, LCCI. And on the front page of the Blueprint, as Supreme Court rules on Zamfara Imo, Olani Klekun says, I'll open up on Bayelsa. Confusion rocks APC PDP, Zamfara, an effort in futility APC chieftain. We won't back down on Imo, opposition party insists. And finally, on the front page of the Nation newspaper, coronavirus, more than 100 Nigerians met with Italian. Buhari, don't panic. 43 quarantined in Plateau. Baby, dog gets virus as new case rise. Sanwo-Olu to meet governors, cancelled chiefs. All right, gentlemen, I'd like for us to discuss the insecurity situation on the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, talking about bandits killing 51 persons in Kaduna, many others injured. How worrisome is this trend getting for you, Dr. I'll start with you.
It is extremely worrisome when you see on the pages of newspaper that 51 people are killed, because in reality, it may be more.
Absolutely.
Yes, it may
because
be more.
we know that there are those injured, so some
course,
of them might just, become fatal.
But again, we must lay emphasis on the fact that no government can actually end insecurity without the involvement of the people. But no group of people will get involved in solving insecurity issues if they don't have faith in their government. So what is the government supposed to do? The first thing when you want to fight crime...
You are saying that this has degenerated because the people do not have faith in the government?
Possibly.
Really?
And
How so?
when you're talking about government, you are not just talking about somebody sitting in Aso Rock. It begins from the unit of security agents that are posted to some of these communities. When I have trust in the security agent or the DPO of my community, if I suspect that there's going to be a crime in my community, I'm going to walk up to him and tell him that, oh, this is what I noticed in my compound. But if at the end of the day, I am not sure, you remember what happened in Abuja. The investigation is still ongoing. Somebody who went to the police and reported and said, oh, I'm suspecting this and this. And the second night, the lady was killed. So these are some of the things government first must carry the people along. In every community, in every society, there's this possibility of the 10% of the people who want to get engaged in crime. Now, it is the duty of government to rally the remaining 90%, to fight the 10%. But when the 90% do not have trust in the government, when they don't have faith in the government, why would the Catholic priest or bishop group be protesting? These are some of the faith, these are some of the trust issues that we talk about. Let's have government that is coming across, and irrespective of administration, let's have government that is coming across as if in reality it is working for the people. When people begin to suspect you based on appointment, then you need to work to sit and look inward and know that perhaps you are not doing some of the things right. In a country of 200 million people, We have about 300,000 police force in number. I've repeatedly said that number is
it's too small.
It's not just too small. Even if we have 10,000, 1 million in number, we still need to work on the psyche of an average policeman. So the problem we have, let's government fix the issue of trust first, then the community will be able to enlist in the fight against terror. But the way it is now, you don't fight terror by buying new guns. You fight terror by putting the community together and changing the ideology of those that
let's get Dr. Kade's perspective to this issue.
I want to look at it from another perspective. He has done very well. But look at it from this angle. Over the weekend, there was supposed to be armed robbery attack.
Supposed to be?
There was.
Okay.
Supposed to be, but it was foiled.
Okay.
At one RCCG parish, I think around Ojokoro, Meron. You know what happened? When they approached that church, according to report, the security people there, one security guy there, called the police, all right? And the police quickly sent messages to other stations. And those bandits, I think they killed about 3, and then others escaped. But at least they couldn't perform their whatever. 1. 2, you see, I've always been talking that if the leadership is not one way or the other involved, we will have gotten something done in this country.
How do you mean involved?
I'm coming. Let me also give you instances. Look at what Wole Pekun just said. He's
going to open up.
He will open up as regards what happened.
We do not know what he wants to say.
Listen now. That means there is something fishing there. That means there is something fishing.
But wouldn't it be right for us to wait and hang on to hear what he has to say?
Now. That is the problem we have in this country. We are never proactive. Why should we wait? Iyataraba the other time said he will talk about what happened as regards Chibok girls. Have we ever gone to her to ask? Even you journalists that are reporting all those things, have you gone to her to ask her questions as regards that?
Okay.
So these are issues that we need to look at. Because look at what happened again. I think in Maiduguri or so, some bandits went there, they operated for over an hour, and they used truck to even load some of the citizens away.
Is it Kaduna?
No, not even in Kaduna.
Not Kaduna.
I think Borno or Maiduguri. But look at the other one in Borno too. Or where the citizens, they rose up against those bandits and they chased them away.
Talk to us about what citizens can be doing at this point, standing up for themselves.
Now look at this Kaduna thing. The same thing happened. There is, if we want to be sincere with ourselves, 1 or 2 people must have heard about that information, that these people are coming to do this or that.
Which is trust that he was talking about.
Exactly. That's why I said he has done well. But I want to come from another perspective of which involvement of the so-called leaders, If the leader, it's just like your TVC as it is now. If there is anything fishy, the leadership of this place, if it's involved, we just keep quiet and that thing will be going on. But if the leadership is not involved, the leadership will just look at it from the top
so
and find out what has happened.
What you're saying is that this has festered because there is a leadership involvement.
Which
so,
I've always been calling conspiracy theory.
But something has to be done.
What we are supposed to do is for us to move in and do a lot of, for instance, Iyataraba said it.
Quickly.
The journalist reported it. Go to her, investigate. Olanukeko said, yes, I will talk about, let somebody go to him, investigate, ask him questions. So we have to start asking questions as regards to all these security infractions. And then come up with facts and figures so that we know how to tackle these things once and for all.
Quickly, Doctor.
I think...
quickly, we are out of time.
Okay, it's a known fact that without conspiracy here and there, nothing can actually survive the weak power of an average Nigerian and the government. So, and when you're talking about this conspiracy, you are not pointing to Abuja or even the seat of power in Lagos.
At all.
It could just be within the military.
Sure.
There are people that are benefiting. I said it repeatedly, the same reason why a journalist, for example, will collect envelope to slant story is the same reason an army officer or whosoever will collect money to leak sensitive information that could lead to disaster in the country. So we need to work on ourselves. It's very important.
Thank you, gentlemen, for your contribution on the newspaper review this morning. We'll leave it here now.
Let's head into the papers now, see what the headlines are this morning. I have with me Dr. John as well as Dr. Dayo Kade in the studio to do justice to this. Gentlemen, nice to see you both.
It's a pleasure, man.
Nice to see you. Have you ever seen anybody eating omelette without breaking the egg before?
Then it wouldn't be omelette. All right. We begin with the Leadership newspaper now. Leadership says it's focusing on Imo Zamfara review. Fear of fine grips PDP, APC as Supreme Court rules today. And the opposition party denies withdrawing case. APC keeps mum. And truth about Bayelsa verdict will be revealed soon. Olanipekun Queen is reported as saying this. All right, from there, let's go to Business AM. Business AM is saying crisis. What crisis? Nigeria review revenue pressure blows up. And ECA reserves monthly allocations dip. Okay, all that you see on the front page of the Business AM. Daily Trust is the next paper now, and it says bandits kill 51 in Kaduna. Really troubling one there. And then besides that, let's go to the Daily Times. And it focuses on insecurity. It says Catholic bishops warn federal government on dangers ahead. Advises federal government to seek help from international community. Urge Buhari to refrain from sectional religious bias in filling top security positions. All right, that's what you see on Daily Times. From there, let's go to News Direct now. News Direct says 2.27 GDP growth. Nigeria's economy is sluggish, weak to create employment opportunities. That's the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industries revealing this, and I think my guests will be interested in discussing this when we start that. The blueprint is next now, and it says a Supreme Court rules on Zamfara Imo. Olanipekun says, I'll open up on Bayelsa. Confusion rocks APC and PDP in Zamfara. An effort in futility. As APC chieftain is saying that we won't back down on Imo opposition party insists. Okay. From there, let's go to the Nation newspaper, which is going to be our last paper out now, and it focuses on coronavirus. More than 100 Nigerians met with Italian. And Buhari is saying, don't panic, 43 quarantined in Plateau State. And a baby and a dog get virus as new cases rise across the world. Sanwo-Olu to meet governors and council chiefs. Right? That's what you see on the front page of the Nation newspaper. All right, gentlemen, we look at the story on the front page of the News Direct, which says that 2.27% GDP growth. Nigeria's economy is sluggish, weak to create employment opportunities. Now, the point is, the GDP, the projection for GDP growth is there, as much as it is slow. But one thing Nigerians have always been talking about is the issue of employment creation, which government has put different schemes together from the days of National Directorate of Employment to NAPEP to Shopee and now to Empower and all of that. But how much do all of these schemes go when it comes to really, really creating employment? Let me start with you, Dr. Kayode.
You know, I asked you a question just now. Is it possible for you to eat omelette without breaking the egg?
and
but you said it's not possible.
It will no longer be
there
omelette.
Is something else. Now, let me also use that word sluggish to also explain some things. Imagine your car that you use every day. Definitely you will know the performance of that car.
Of course.
And that car has a particular potential that it should reach. For instance, if you are driving a Mercedes to a Volkswagen, that's old Volkswagen.
The one they call Beetle.
Yeah, you expect the performance.
Our daddies used to have that.
Yes. you expect the performance of that Mercedes to be higher than that Volkswagen. But if that your Mercedes, you are not removing the carbon in the engine, the thing will keep on accumulating and accumulating until combustion becomes difficult. And you know that you gain acceleration based on the level of combustion within your engine.
Okay, that is science now.
Do you know, we have to explain these things so that people can really understand. Now, our economy is so sluggish to the extent that what we are supposed to put in there are not just there. And that is what I call creativity. Looking outside the box. The moment you are doing the same thing the same way, you'll be achieving the same result, and at a point, there's going to be a diminishing return, which is what we are having now. Look at our economy. It's dependent on petroleum. Before, when we were having 4 refineries, and those refineries were working, my father will get to the filling station and say, fill up. How much then? Just less than 10 naira or thereabout. Do you get? Then you also buy super. You buy ordinary. There's another one, the third one. And then when you even put them inside a transparent container, you will see the difference. But what do we have now? All right? So not until when those people that are making excessive profits, that are benefiting from importation of fuel, things otherwise, knows that even if we are refining our fuel here, they too are going to make money. Then our economy will still remain sluggish and will not be able to employ. Do you know those people that are gaining from it? Go to all those refineries, you see their nationals gaining because they are being employed. But if we have our own refinery working, and then we have modular refinery also, employ
things
people.
Will change.
And so many
things. Let me bring Dr. in here. Now, in the 70s and early 80s, where we had all the companies in Nigeria, the Batas and the Mandilas and all of those companies in the country, and all of that. At that time, the currency, the naira was very strong, and there was employment all over the place. In fact, companies wait for graduates at the university level.
70 kobo to $1.
You know, when they come out, employment is guaranteed. Now we're looking for employment all over the place. Shouldn't the agenda be now to the issue of strengthening companies, establishing industries, rather than setting up schemes?
Yeah. That's the direction to go. We have seen over time that political schemes will not bail us out of poverty reality and unemployment. You see, in every economy of the world, every democracy of the world, there's this principle of the 10%. The wealth of the community, the wealth of the entire community, is in the 90% of the wealth of the entire community is in the hand of 10% of the people across the globe. But what is the duty of government? For you to now generate employment and make your economy viable, you now put in place structures to ensure that the blessings of the 10% does not reside in the pocket of the 10% by getting out to the other 90%. And you put the burden of taxation on the 10% so that the other 90% can actually enjoy the good of the land. The job of a government here is not to create companies. The job of a government is that of a football coach. The football coach is not an active player. He has 10 players and a goalkeeper. What he does is that he begins to look at good players and see how he can expand his team. Of course, a good coach knows that no more than 10 players will play on the pitch. But the idea of having a grade B club now comes in. And you can also fortify your bench in a way that at least you can actually get a team out of the bench. So what should the government do? As a coach, you begin to say, oh, there's a 10% who are very wealthy. The richest man in Africa is in Nigeria. We have capitalists here and there that are making a lot of money. But it is now your duty to ensure that you fill the gap between those who have and those who do not have by creating opportunity in form of laws that we make your environment conducive for some of these enterprises to expand.
So that creates a balance.
Yes,
kind of.
to
All
create
right.
a balance.
We have to leave it here now. There's no more time. But thank you very much, Dr. John, for your insight and time. Dr. Dayo Kayode, we thank you as well.
A pleasure.
All right. And thanks for the physics lecture.